You're part of, just say it so we know who's here. Go.
Bridge.
Bridge. Yay! Organizers of the event. What's that? Break down the acronyms because I think some folks have. Okay, say it again, say it again, say it again.
Filipinos and liberal arts and humanities.
Okay, Filipino Americans, liberal arts and humanities. There are some. Yay! What?
MK.
MK. MK means what?
Mga kapatid.
Mga kapatid. What else? Who else is here? That's it?
I'm just representing my outside organization.
Yeah, what is it?
Angels of Hope Foundation.
Angels of Hope Foundation. Yay! Where?
The Hope.
Okay, Angels of Hope. Where else? Where else? What else? What else? Anybody else?
Asian American Association.
Asian American Association. Yay! Anything? Anything else?
PCM.
PCSO. Can I have a roll? I'll play myself. Anything else? Anything else? Or anybody else? Okay, what about places? Come on, represent your hometown.
Stockton.
Where? Stockton. Woo! Where else? What? SS. San Francisco. Where's San Francisco? Up there. Oh, this is the gas station district. So much Sunset. Like where? Where? Sunset? Yay! What else? Where?
Oakland.
Oakland. Oakland. Don't turn. Where? Eden. Tennyson. There's nobody from AMC here.
Hercules.
Bridge, you need to go to Logan. Get them to come to this school. Where else? Where else? Where else? Hayward. Hayward, where?
San Jose.
San Jose.
Vallejo.
Vallejo. Where else? You know, come on, you know you want to say your town. Don't be shy. Mississippi? Well, just that's not a town. That's a city.
LA.
What? Oh my.
The Philippines.
Sa Manila. Sa Manila.
Las
Vegas. Okay, what else? Anybody else? Anybody else?
Hercules.
Go ahead. Hercules, another one. All these Filipino places. Where else? Tanol? Nobody? Benicia? Nobody?
LA.
LA?
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. Yes. San Luis Obispo? No one? Okay, good. All right. Nice. Thank you. We're a little bit more awake because somebody was falling asleep. Don't sleep in my class. Okay. So I want to start first actually with this quote by Carlos Bulusan. And he says this. I came to know afterward that in many ways it was a crime to be Filipino in California. How many of you know Carlos Bulusan? Actually, I need to figure out how many of you have actually taken an Asian course before. Raise your hand. Hi. I've taken an Asian American Studies course before. I know she's like, I don't want to go me. Just put it up high. Put it up high. If you have in fact taken an Asian American Studies course. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, good. So there are about maybe half of you have taken Asian courses. Okay, then the other half, maybe not at all, but hopefully we see you in class next quarter. Okay, so some of you may know Carlos Bulusan, but for those of you who don't know, Carlos Bulusan was the author of America is in the Heart. That's a text that you will read in my course. If you decide to take it after tonight. So the novel really talks about the experiences of the first wave, what we call the first wave of Filipino immigrants to the United States. Now Bulusan himself was born in the Philippines in 1913. And he joined thousands of other young men about your age, actually. I mean, you guys are what, between 18 maybe to 22, maybe if you're in the 5-year plan, right? So you're about 18 to 22, right? He came here on a boat at the age of 17 to try to really eke out a living, try to survive here in the United States. Bulusan, along with his generation, are men that many call the Mano generation. And people know what Mano means. Yeah, what does Mano mean? Older brother. Yeah, older brother, right? So they constitute the very first wave of Filipinos in the country. They represent the beginnings of our formation as a community here in the United States. So the Manongs become a really crucial part of our heritage as Filipinos in America, right? As Filipino Americans. And being that it's Heritage Week, I would be completely irresponsible in this presentation if I didn't even talk about the Manongs and put their history at its center. But the organizers of this week, the organizers gave it a very specific theme, right? Oi, or Hoi, GISING, right? And I think that's really important for us to reflect on. What does it even mean? Hoi, GISING. Hoi, GISING! What's that? What is it? Yes.
Hey, wake up.
Hey, wake up, right? To wake, right? Awake, to wake up. What's kind of interesting actually is when you look at the English meaning, right? Or the translation of GISING, to wake. You have the word wake, depending on its usage, being either a noun, right, or a verb. So the verb form of wake is to emerge or cause to emerge from a state of sleep, to stop sleeping, right? That's the verb form. Okay, all the, what is that, the filas? You guys should know. What's the difference between a noun and a verb? And then there's a noun, right? To watch, or a vigil held beside the body of someone who's died, right? Some of the synonyms are to awaken, to arouse, rouse, versus the noun form, vigil or watch, right? So for me, what I think our challenge is today, and I think this is really kind of what was the impetus, the inspiration, I think, for Bridge when they chose this theme, is how do we get from wake as a noun, to wake as a verb? Right? Think about that for a second. How do we get from wake as a noun, right, to sort of be passively watching, right, to be part of a vigil, to be, at a vigil, versus wake as a verb, right, to be roused, to be aroused? I think that's the crucial kind of question that we need to ask today, right? Specifically, how do we relate to our heritage in an active, right, versus a passive way? There's a difference there between the noun and the verb, right? How do you relate to your heritage in an active and not a passive way? How do we relate to our history so that we're not just sitting and watching, right, but that we're roused to act? So that, I think, is the key set of questions that I want you to come away with here. I'm not here to give the answers, right? But I am here to try to give you a sense of some of this heritage broadly of our community in the United States, but also very specifically to UC Davis, and to get you to really be challenged, right? That's the purpose of being at the university, right? It is to challenge and disturb you a little bit, and to get you to self-reflect about the ways in which you relate to your being Filipino. Okay? So, to understand our heritage, right, to understand our history in this country, why we find ourselves as one of the top immigrant groups, I'm going to actually back up here because actually, ooh, shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Because I don't want you to see that yet because you'll get distracted. But to understand our heritage, our history in the U.S., and the fact of the matter is we are one of the top immigrant groups in the country, right? We're amongst the top ethnic sending countries to the United States, along with Mexico and China. That's the truth about our kind of demographics to the United States and even to the state of California. But even to understand why we come from the places we come, actually, and you'll get to know this more when you take the course, right? There's a reason why, when all of you guys did your sort of shout-outs, right? You're coming from places like Stockton, you're coming from places like San Francisco, or Hayward, or Vallejo, or like me, Union City, right? A lot of this, the reason why we settle in these places is tied to our very, very early history in the United States, and that really links to our experience as laborers in the United States, right? And I'm going to get to that in a bit, but to understand even why we're here to begin with, like why are we here, right? What are we doing in the United States to begin with? Why are we amongst the top immigrant groups? Why have we been here for over a century? We need to understand it within the context of U.S. colonialism in the Philippines. That's very, very key. So when the Spanish Empire was nearing its end in the Philippines, right, and a lot of you know this, right? The Philippines was colonized by the Spanish, right? How do you know the evidence of this? You guys have many of you have evidence of the colonization by Spain, right, of the Philippines in your bodies. What's an evidence of that? Give me an example. So easy. What's your name? What's your name? Tell me your name. Say them. Ocampo, right? Who's another one? Come on, a Spanish name. Many of you will have them. Call it out. What are your name? You don't know your name.
Well, my name's Ricardo, but my last name
What's your last name? But even your first is Ricardo.
Junie.
Huh?
It's Junie.
What?
Junie?
Yeah, okay, that's it.
Why do I do my mouth?
Oh, look at you. Anybody else? Come on. Lots of you have Spanish last names. Soriano. Come on, what else? Yeah. Villano. Rodriguez. Anybody else? Lopez. Yeah, you got it, right? In our bodies we know. In our bodies we know the history of Spanish colonization in the Philippines. But as that empire came to an end, the United States really primed itself to take over the Spain's colonial outposts, right? So basically, the United States was growing. There was this thing called manifest destiny, where the United States really sort of thought itself to have this destiny to kind of not only extend over the entire continent of the United States, but to also extend into the Pacific, into the Atlantic, right? And so as the Spain sort of waned, right, it sort of got weak, in part because we brought it, we kind of made it weak because we fought back. This U.S. imperial designs, right, it's sort of colonial designs in the Philippines and in Puerto Rico and Cuba resulted in the colonization of the Philippines in 1898. That's going to be an important year for you, right? I'm going to test you on that. You better write that down right now, right? So the Filipino people, as we all know, if you don't already know, were in a valiant struggle against the Spanish. I mean, I'm very proud of this because my own ancestors were part of that struggle. Some of you, if you noticed, I have M all the time, Robyn M. Rodriguez, in most of my, whenever I write. It's actually Robyn Magalit Rodriguez. Now let's see another test in Tagalog. Who knows what Magalit means? What? Mad. To be angry. So actually in my own history, one of my ancestors actually was part of the anti-colonial struggle. He was part of the Katipunan. His last name used to be De los Reyes. So if you've taken a Spanish class before, De los Reyes means what? Of the kings, right? He's like, no, I'm the kings, I'm mad, right? So he changed his name. I love that, it's a great story. Cool story, bro. And so, as new colonists were sort of, kind of angling the United States to take over the islands, our people had a new enemy to face. Actually, very frustrated by our fierce resistance, the American military launched a horrific campaign of so-called pacification. And this, I think, how many of you know about the story of the Colt 45? Who knows the story of the Colt 45? You're like, yeah, I want to tell this story. This is a cool story. Come on, go do it. Colt 45.
I don't know this one.
You don't know the story? You just know the song, you just know the thing. No. What about the Colt 45? Do people know? Oh, you don't know? So basically the Americans were like really struggling against us because we're fierce, right, with our yo-yos. I don't even know if that's true. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna claim that. I don't care. It's substantiated or not. Like, that's a cool story. Do you know about the story of yo-yos as weapons? No? I have a lot of teaching to do here. You need to take my class. So there's this urban legend, we don't really know, but apparently like the yo-yo was used as a weapon. And we'd be like, yeah, I got you. I think it's cool. But the reality was, in fact, we were incredibly fierce fighters, right, against the Spanish and definitely against the Americans. And so they were incredibly frustrated having to fight Filipino anti-colonialists. And so one of the things they did, actually, in U.S. military history, you've ever watched a military channel, and they talk about sort of, I guess it's, they talk about the history of guns. This was a huge innovation on the part of the United States to actually have the Colt 45 introduced. So basically the idea was they needed sort of a gun that could really shoot at short range, right, and can sort of shoot fast, right? So there's sort of a technology that had to be actually devised to deal with the Filipinos as part of this pacification campaign. So there's this historian, her name is Luz Vaminda Francisco.